guys, here we go.
Hi, I'm Michaelanne Johnson. This is Doug Johnson, and we're here to talk about Old English Sheepdog. My task this morning is to tell you how Doug and I became involved in this group. We got married at a young age in 1972, and the Old English Sheepdog had always been my dream dog. We were married a year. Whoops. Escaping already. We were married a year and found out we were going to have a baby, so we started looking for a house to move from our apartment. There happened to be an ad right by the houses that we were going to look at, AKC Old English Sheepdog puppies for sale. I told Doug, when we went to look at the houses, please, let's stop and look at these puppies. He said, am I in trouble? I said, yes, you might be. And do you have the checkbook with you? He knew he was in big trouble. We went and saw the puppies and of course left with a new puppy and a new house. We had our first child, and Oliver, and a unique name for an Old English Sheepdog, was always by our bedside. I was terribly exhausted with our first child, and I told Doug I couldn't get up in the morning. He'd have to take care of her. He got up, fed her a bottle, and went back and laid in the bed, burping her. I got up the next morning, went to the bassinet, and to my surprise, there was no baby in the bassinet. I go, Doug, where's the baby? And he kind of came to, and Oliver never moved. He stayed curled up around that baby girl and had washed her head, had her hair going in a swirl. We were at that point near and dear to this breed and have never wavered since. They truly are my dream dog. We started showing. Louise Lupina was the owner of the stud dog of Oliver, so she encouraged us to go to dog shows. As we did, I was totally taken with the showing and going and having fun and doing a family thing together. So we graduated from the Volkswagen Bug and a Corvair Corsa to a Gran Torino station wagon, our first dog show car. Needless to say, we have met wonderful people along the way when we've been doing breedings. We've had a wonderful opportunity to go to Canada to meet Edie, who became our mentor in this breed. Edie and John Shields were wonderful friends to us. We also had the opportunity to meet Gary and Terry Carter. Terry is in love with this breed as any person that I've ever met. She was also a wonderful mentor to Doug and I. We've done different breedings with different people, and they have been also very instrumental in us learning and growing. When you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you're rotten. An old horse trainer told me that once. So I, to this day, go to a dog show and hope that I will continue to learn and grow. We have done breedings with kennels like Blue Mountain, Pam Henry, and Colleen and Dia from Snowdown. We've also done a wonderful breeding with Ann Lapp, that was Bandit, who is in and behind our pedigree. We've also bred with Joyce Wetzler, Whisperwords Wise Guy. He was a nice dog that we obviously got a lot of things from. Then we also bred with Suzanne Harrison, and we've got some wonderful things for Snap. And Suzanne's kennel name is Balls. All I can say is that it's important that when you're breeding that you try to stay open-minded. I think Doug becoming a handler helped us grow in many ways. When you're emotionally involved in a dog, you don't always open your eyes and look to see what is good and what is bad. So by him handling and me going to ring, assisting him, I could look at the breeds and I could see what judges were doing and why they were doing it. That allowed me to take away from that how to do my breeding program. Our breeding program now, because our children are now involved in doing this. And it's really nice to just not have to work so hard and go and sit and watch what they do. It's so wonderful. But that's how Bugaboo Kennels became established. We have done some wonderful breedings with a dear friend of mine, Bridget Callahan. She is my little buddy who now we breed Happy's together. And we love it very, very much. It's like a toy sheepdog in many ways.
Okay.
We also have to thank all of our family because they are the ones who make this all possible for us. They help with all the grooming, with working with the dogs. It's just been a great family adventure that I've truly enjoyed in my lifetime. Doug?
My turn. We have gone to the dogs. Literally, I say that as far as we've gone to the dogs. We've been very fortunate to go ahead and be able to incorporate our breeding program in with our family. You all know our family is a very important part of our success that we have had. Not only with our family, but also with our extended friends. With some of you will go ahead and see here today. We have Clint and Karen Livingston that's going to be helping move the dogs. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history of this breed. It's called the Old English Sheepdog, but we also refer to it as the bobtail. And the reason why it's the bobtail is because of several different theories. Number one is this breed was originated from the Scottish bearded collie and what they referred to as the Russian Watchdog. And that was a fairly large dog in the history of the breed. They were a drover's dog. They were used to go ahead and drive herds of sheep and cattle to the market. Size-wise, as far as one to the dog, depended a lot upon the terrain, which the dogs were. Like a smaller dog needed to be a quick, more agile dog. Then you could go and get underneath the fence line, get over the walls, things like this. With a little bit larger dog, you need to handle larger animals and livestock. Being a drover's dog, they were very durable. You have to remember, as far as what we have today is not what we had back then. The dogs we had back then were shaved down with a herd of sheep and so forth there. They were given baths as far as the streams or the troughs and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and move my mic closer to it. But they went ahead and they were fantastic. The breed itself, whenever they first came over to the United States, they were brought over by people who were very well-to-do, people that were into the industrial part of the world, the Vanderbilts, the Grays. These are the most important families out of the 10 as far as here in the United States. In fact, when they're to Westminster,
Hang on, guys. This might help. Hang on.
We're worried about having to have those people go ahead and the judges spend a little bit extra time going over the dogs as far as making sure that they spend extra time with the breed. Today, we kind of ask the judges to do the same thing, to go ahead and spend a little bit extra time into the breed because they're a breed that has to have their hands on as far as understanding what they are doing. The breed itself is a very happy, very clownish breed. As you can see, with me holding this little guy right here, they have to go ahead and be involved into a lot of things. They're not really a hyper dog. They're very sound in temperament. They're good family dogs. They became very popular as far as like Don't Eat the Daisies and also with the family.
The Little Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid.
But at any point, the history of the breed is that the dogs are very sound temperament dogs. And I know everybody can read about the history. What we want to do is we want to talk about the dogs today. So thank you very much, and we will proceed on to our next part of this.
Okay, we're gonna move some dogs around. Bear with us. Annie's gonna be first. Here we go.
Karen, let's go ahead and stack up.
I'm hoping that if I hold this closer, guys, you can hear better. Let me know.
Okay, what we have here, I'm going to turn this over to Colton, and he's going to go ahead and start talking to you about these dogs.
So what we have here is we have two shaved down dogs. We have a dog and a shaved down bitch. We thought it would be a good idea to do this for you guys first before we start bringing in dogs with coat, because one of the most important things about an Old English Sheepdog is proportions. It doesn't matter the size, it doesn't matter anything, it's all about proportions. And a lot of people don't understand how much shape our breed has that are the hallmarks that make it an Old English Sheepdog. So first off, you come up. You want a nice, strong head. This should appear to be like a square from the front and in the back. So you want a fairly long, truncated muzzle. What a truncated muzzle means, guys, you want this to be wide. You want a nice, big, broad underjaw. You want to kind of come up, and I mean, literally, it should fill a man's hand when you're going over this muzzle. You want it to appear to be like a brick on a brick, okay? When we get into the dogs that with coat, it's very important, as you can see when the dog is shaved down, that you pull the hair back and you look at the expression of an Old English Sheepdog. They should have a dark brown eye. They can also have a blue eye, china eye, or a walleye. But you want to, and those eyes should be nice and wide apart. It should be a pretty impressive, massive hand or head, which can fill a man's hand. So what we do is when we come up to go over the dog, and we don't care if you mess the dogs up, again, we'll get into this more when we bring in the dogs with coat, but you should come in, you should feel that muzzle, you should take your hand, run it up to the stop, take your hand up. There should be a good defined stop there with a well-arched brow. So when you come up, we want you to take your hands and feel for that. And then when you get to the top, you're going to take your hand back and you're going to take it and you're going to see that this should be about equal length to this. So that's why I say a brick on a brick, okay? Should be a nice, full, broad back skull. Ears should be medium size, okay? Then also come in and you want to make sure that the head is deep. All of this should be deep. One of the most major faults in our breed is snipiness. They shouldn't appear to be like a deer hound. Technically, we consider that a deformity. So we'll get into that more as we're going over dogs. Bites, obviously, level or scissors is acceptable. So I would rather see a dog with a level bite, or even maybe a little bit less, because unfortunately when you get a lot of level bites, you're going to get a little bit more of an undershot dog. But I'd rather see that than a dog with a sniping muzzle with a scissors bite. So that truncated muzzle is extremely, extremely important. Neck fairly long, well arched, okay? Come down to the point of the shoulders, right down here on the withers, should be well laid back. You want to be able to come down, and you want to be able to go to the point of the shoulder, and then that should be of equal length both ways, 90 degrees, 45, 45. After you go, this should be, I mean, the sheepdogs should not be, they shouldn't have a long, weak neck and they shouldn't have a short muscular neck. Need a fairly long neck with a well laid back shoulder. So that's a very important part. Then after you go over the shoulders, you want to make sure and you want to feel how those elbows tie in, as well as the depth of the chest and the body. Okay, that should come down to the point of the elbow. Take your hands, run them all the way down the front legs. Make sure you have nice, straight front legs. Make sure you have plenty of bone. There's nothing fine about an Old English Sheepdog. The head should be blocky. The bone should be nice. The body should be nice. So you want to make sure that you're feeling from all that. After you've done that, you want to take your hands and you want to just run them to make sure they have a nice spring of rib. Another very big fault for us is tubular. Pear shape is a word we use in our breed often to describe the shape of the Old English Sheepdog. It's technically not our standard. However, it is a very good way of describing what the breed should look like. So when they come out, they should sit wider in the rear than they are in the front, okay? And then so you want to make sure you take your hands down and you feel for that. The top line, huge hallmark of our breed. And you want to make sure when you're doing it that you take your hand, you start right after your the point of your shoulders, and those should sit tight too, guys, by the way. I apologize for that. You want to make sure those are nice and close and tight. You want to take your hand and you want to run it all the way down. That arch or that rise should be a slight rise, and it should happen over a nice, broad, stout loin. Okay? So you want to make sure you're taking your hand, you're running it all the way down, you're feeling for that rise, and then it slightly tapers off down in the croup. After that, you want to come in, again, make sure you have a nice stout broad loin, nice stout hindquarters. You want to well bend the stifle with a well let down hop. So what you want to do is get in here and feel. And again, when we get into dog with coat, we're going to show you exactly how you're going to be able to look for this shape through the hair. The bitch, obviously, we like our dogs to look like dogs, our bitches to look like bitches. So you will see a size difference. Okay, so everything's the same. So important hallmarks: truncated muzzle, nice broad back skull, pear shape, rise in the top line, broad hindquarters. You want to make sure that you're paying very, very close attention to that. Okay? Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to continue examining dogs. My dad and I will both take turns and we'll be talking a little bit about what we're doing. But we're going to start off with a young puppy. We're going to do all the males through the stages of life, a 3-month-old puppy all the way up to a 4-year-old dog. And then we're going to do the exact same thing with bitches.
Okay. Give us a moment to switch out, please. Thank you. Okay. We're going to start off with a 3-month-old male. The first shaved down male is a 9-year-old. Sorry, that's a great question. And the shaved down female is 4 years old. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This will also be recorded and played on the Canine Chronicle website for those that don't have live feed Monday. Okay, so this is a 3-month-old male.
This is a young boy, young male dog. As you can see, as far as like whenever the puppies are first born, they're born black and white. They have no pigmentation. They're all born as far as completely pink in their noses, pink around their eyes, and they're black and white little blobs. When they're approximately 3 days of age, we go ahead and we remove their tail. Of all the years I've been breeding, I get to go ahead and have a naturally bobbed tail. But we take the tail all the way so it's flush as far as to the bum, and that's the reason why we call these guys bobtails. Now, as you can notice with the black coat, this is all puppy coat. This puppy coat will eventually go ahead and come out when these puppies are probably between 8 months to 10 months of age. They have very little graying into it. You can see as far as into their skin where it's kind of like a bluish color into the skin itself, but the coat itself will go ahead and has some texture onto it and so forth there. As we go through some of these other stages with our puppies, you'll start seeing a little bit of coat change, plus you'll see what we'll call dead coat, which will eventually go ahead and come out.
And we'll show you that. We have stuff with that.
The puppies themselves, as far as the Old English Sheepdogs, they can go ahead and have 2 brown eyes, they can have 2 blue eyes, they can have 1 brown, 1 blue eye, they can also have a brown and split eye. The bite themselves, as far as like when you're looking at a puppy, you're going to notice the big old black nose. That's kind of like the hallmark of our breed. We like a big nose because you have a big nose, usually you're going to have a nice, big, strong jaw. When you come up to examine puppies, like Colton said, you're looking for underjaw. Now I'm going to open up this little guy's mouth. You can see he's starting to lose a little bit of tissue, but you can see the size of the muzzle and the thickness that's already occurred. When you go ahead and you come back up underneath, you're going to feel the cheeks and make sure that you've got a good solid cheek fill underneath that with the muzzle into the skull. The eye themselves, you'll see a little bit of pigmentation. It's always, we like to have full pigmentation, but it is not something that's required as far as into our breed. The hair does serve as a protectant against the sunlight and the eyes. You bring your hand back up into the stock itself. As you come into the muzzle, your hand will stop and you put your hand onto the skull and you kind of feel that you're going to have equal proportions or fairly equal proportions. We are looking for a fairly long muzzle, but we're not looking for a sniping muzzle. We want a nice soundness to it. The ear itself, you can see here with the little black spots, those will go ahead and dissipate as that puppy goes ahead and gets older. But the ear is a medium length. See here where the jawline is? You go ahead and you come back down, you're going to feel into the colsternum, feel the point of the shoulders, the width of the shoulders, you see what you're dealing with, the length of your upper arm, and all the way down. Now, whenever I'm examining Old English Sheepdogs, I like to come down where I'm able to feel the arch as far as into the feet. Not everybody does that, but it's very important so you don't end up having a hair flip. Same thing as far as when you bring your hand back in towards the back of the puppy's back, because you're going to go in, you're going to feel a slight rise. Now, I will share with you that sometimes with puppies, that muscling does not totally develop over this loin until they go ahead and become older. Once they become older, that muscle structure, just like with a young person, becomes stronger. And that arch over that loin is going to be a little bit more predominant than what it is right now.
Especially when, not to interrupt you guys, when they're teenagers and adolescent, like a year old, they go, narrow, and they lose that a little bit. But as they develop and they mature, that definitely can come back.
Yes, and that's true. Now, we talked about as far as the pear shape. The pear shape starts just like what you do with the neck and the top of the pear. You bring your hands back through, and that's when you start feeling that pear shape being developed into the dogs through the rear end. What we usually do is we go ahead and we'll take and we'll kind of pull the coat down, feel that pear shape. It's easy to fix. All you have to do is just move your hair right back up like that as far as you're judging this breed. Then you're going to go ahead and feel the length of the second thigh. Now, as puppies, you may have a little bit more turn into the stifle, a little bit more hawkiness. As this goes ahead and starts coming up on leg, both the front and the rear, you're going to go ahead and this will a little bit more and getting into what we look for as far as into our adult dogs. But we want to make sure that you understand this is a puppy coat. And these are cute as they are, actually are so much, well, I say as cute as they are, they have ferocious teeth.
So an important thing about the coat is sheepdogs, as most of you have probably seen, as a mature dog, they're in a shade of gray, grizzle. So as you can imagine, as this is transitioning it from black into gray, and then the dead coat's coming in, you're going to have dogs go through coat changes. Generally our dogs go through about 2 coat changes, but sometimes they can have up to 3. And we're going to show you in some of our dogs coming up the difference in what coats look like while they're changing, and then what they're going to look like when they're fully mature. So I'm going to take him and move him real quick. Okay, buddy. And I don't know how good this is going to go, but an important thing that you need to pay attention to is that that butt goes up in the air and they roll over their butt. So here we go. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Let's go. Good boy. Good. Very good.
You close the blinds. Close the blinds.
So this is a 3-month-old puppy, okay?
All right.
Our next dog is going to be a 6-month-old male, okay? What do you think, Carrie?
Carrie, we're gonna call this male, male B. He is 6 months old. Oh, there we go. That was blurry. We're back. Okay, hang on. Let me just. Worse.
Okay, so as you can see, if you get in here a little closer, you can already see this coat starting to change. The sheepdog's coat, they have a soft undercoat, and then they have a coarser outer coat to protect them. Obviously, that you're not going to get that right away in a puppy, so you should play that into consideration whenever you're evaluating a younger dog. But as long as you see that coat clearing, the odds of that coat not clearing throughout the entire dog are very small. We talked a lot about the muzzle and the foreface and stuff like that, but as far as the expression of the Old English Sheepdog, our standard doesn't state anything about pigmentation. However, we prefer it, and the reason we prefer it is because it changes the expression, as well as when we start getting dogs that are lacking pigmentation. We do have deafness in our breed that sometimes can play a factor, although not always. So it's something we like to pay attention to as breeders, but again, is not in the standard. Another thing that we talked about when you're going over the shoulder, making sure they have a nice full sternum and forward chest. You want to make sure you have straight forelegs. In a young dog, obviously, when this chest is not developed and dropped, they're going to go a little narrow. You might see some toeing out, just like any other breed. That's why it's very important to make sure that you're going all the way down to the foot, like my dad had talked about. Also, a sheepdog should be a compact, muscular breed. They should not be low and long or too leggy and short. You want them to be a nice, practically square dog. If I had to choose between two mature dogs that are fully mature, and one may not have as much neck or as much angle, but has bone, has head, has body, has top line, has breed type, I'm going to probably prefer that dog over a dog that has a long neck, lots of angles, but they're tubular is what we call them. Tubular is just, it shouldn't be in the breed. Like I said, a hallmark of our breed is that example of a pear shape, and there's nothing tubular about a pear shape. So, Carrie, let's go ahead and move this dog around. Good, so movement, look at the roll over the loin, and this dog's not real confident, so we're going to see it more as he goes. Plenty of reach and drive, should be able to go out and work all day long. So that's a very important thing. It should not seem like it's hard for an Old English Sheepdog to move. They should be able to pick up into that gait and go on a free movement very easily. A lot of people have questions about pacing. Our breed, it says they are allowed to pace at a slower speed, but really what you're looking for is you're looking for what we call an amble. And again, that amble is the roll over the loin. And if your dog has this correct shape, they're going to do that. They should look the same moving as they do standing, okay? They shouldn't be running with their head on the ground. They should be able to carry their head up and be proud so they can look over the grasses to see what they are doing, what work needs to be done. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. Okay, thank you, Carrie.
We'll bring him back at the
Okay, so our next dog.
I have a question really quick here. So the question is, compared to the first shaved down dog we saw, the puppies look more square. Is that because they go through, explain the coat? Correct.
Okay. So when the dogs are carrying coat, you're going to notice, and not only that, but dogs thicken up quite a bit as they get older. So the coat comes into play as well as everything. And the first shaved down dog, we would shorten up just a little bit anyhow.
Okay, this is male C, and this is a year-old male. So he's 6 months older than the last puppy you saw.
This young male, as you start to see, they go ahead and they start getting a little bit more leg underneath them. They still lack a little bit of maturity as far as themselves, and I say that because I know this dog. But I want you to look at the broad nose on this guy. That broad nose tells me that this dog has a wonderful muscle, and he's going to have a wonderful underjaw. You go ahead and you look into the teeth. It's a scissors bite, strong, back all the way into the cheeks. Temporal bones right here onto the side. He's got a nice width across the head. He's got a wonderful, and you'll find this too, as far as the dog that's go ahead and has a marking onto the side of their face. That marking is going to go ahead and allow this dog to have nice pigmentation. He's got a beautiful shape of eye, beautiful color in eye. Over on this side, same thing. Beautiful eye, beautiful pigmentation. Stop, comes right on in, your hand stops, comes right back through. This is what the handful of man's hand, you can see the width across the skull, also as far as this point to this point. Nice ears, beautiful neck. This dog has a wonderful, wonderful neck piece himself. And you're starting to see the transition as far as into the coat. Get that in there, Heather?
Yeah.
See how it goes ahead and it goes into the grizzled gray, and you have the puppy coat, and you see a little bit of the mist-tone onto the brownishness of the puppy coat. If you run into a coat that's brown and red, all you have to do is lift up and look down into it, and you'll see the coloration where it goes ahead and comes in as being the natural color.
Okay.
This dog has wonderful bone, real strong bone onto the legs. The front comes well underneath him. Go ahead and come back in. We can use a little bit more muscling. This is a young teenager. He's going to need that muscling just to create that top line that's going to go ahead and come with him. Nice turn in the stifle. Beautiful, beautiful hands. And he's got really strong, thick hands for a young dog. And stuff. You see the grizzled gray is coming in through the coat itself. Okay? And again, when we're looking here as far as for that hair shape, all you have to do is take that hair, flip it up, and it's back up to where we need it to be.
All right, Mr.
Let's
Hill.
move.
This dog is a year-old.
Nice, easy going. It keeps his picture as far as what you see with the dog stacked up is what you see with him going around the ring.
Yeah, and I think the difference is we don't want their head sitting up on their shoulders. We don't want it down on the ground, but we don't want it sitting up either. And that's the difference between...
It should be carried high, but it shouldn't sit on the top of their shoulders.
That's incorrect as well.
Okay, thank you, Taylor.
Thank you.
Hang on, Tammy's going to come back in a minute. All right, this dog is dog D, and this dog is a fully mature... This is a 4-year-old male.
So while Karen's stacking them up, immediately you're going to notice the change in the coat. So you've seen 3 different stages of what that coat's going to go through before it gets to this. So same thing, come up, Make sure you press the hair down. Look at that nice, big, broad, square, truncated muzzle. Level bite, nice, broad underjaw, perfectly fine. Pull. So we have these dogs hair up so we can make it easier for you. But pull this back and look at the expression of the dog. And make sure, it should look right through you. And one of the reasons we have this pinned up is because so many of you always see the sheepdogs when they're like this. And we're not allowed to keep anything in their coat for them to see, and they don't want us to trim the head. So that makes it difficult. But however, this dog has a beautiful muzzle. It's perfectly proportioned to his back skull. Beautiful head, broad. If you look, I'll take that hair, I'll fold that hair down, come underneath the cheek. As you can tell by both my dad and I going over the dogs, we mess the dogs up. We want you to do that. We want you to get your hands in. This is a lot of coat, and you can be fooled by a lot of working. And your hands have to be your eyes, because you have to make sure that everything you're touching matches what you're looking at. So, same thing, this dog has a beautiful neck, comes back, well laid back shoulders, tight withers, very tight withers, nice post sternum, good upper arm, beautiful bone. This is a good sized dog. I don't mind his size. I wouldn't want them any bigger than this. In a breeding program, this dog definitely has a benefit because when we start showing you some of the other dogs, obviously you don't judge them by size, you judge them by proportion and balance. So I don't care if you have a 22-inch bitch or 27-inch dog, as long as everything matches and they're in proportion, then that's what you want.
And someone had a question about weight, Colton.
Okay.
So weight has got to be in proportion and balance, correct?
Correct. So the weight, the bone, the head, all of that. So whenever you're thinking about any type of size, substance, weight, bone, head, it all has to be in proportion for what the rest of the entire dog is. Okay? Come here real quick, Heather.
Sure.
We're going to go over the top. Take my hand. I'm done going over that. I'm going to feel the nice depth of chest, nice tight elbows. Then I'm going to take my hand. I'm going to take it, I'm going to run it up. If you can see, watch my hand. That hand immediately starts to go up. Okay? Then you should come out. Look at how broad. Come on the top of me.
Okay.
Stay. That's that dog's hips. So you should take this, like Dad said, and fold this down. That you should barely be able to span that. You want a nice, big, broad butt. And on a 4-year-old dog, if they don't have that, that's not an Old English Sheepdog. Okay? You want to come in, you want to sit right where those hindquarters sit on in the hips. Super important for their shape. Come all the way down like we talked about before. This is a really nice mature dog. Lots of beautiful head, beautiful bone, good body, nice pear shape, beautiful coat. So he's got a lot of really good things about him. Let's go ahead and take him around, Karen.
This is what I call stallion. In our breed, this is a stallion because he fits everything that you want.
Good boy.
You see the amble and that roll? See the roll that goes?
Karen, go one more time, sorry. Guys, see the butt in the air? That butt in the air and the roll over the loin? Okay, when a dog moves, if they have that, you're going to see it. So you want it, that's good, Karen, thank you. They shouldn't lose their top line when they move. If anything, they should be holding it.
Okay, we're going to have...
We're going to walk, hold on, we're going to... Karen, come here.
Oh.
Just because it's such a good example of what the roll should look like.
Walk down the back.
Yep.
Okay.
Just walk. See, it should look like a bear. Doesn't that look like a bear going away from you? If you were thinking about a bear walking away in the woods, that's what it should look like.
That's a pace.
Okay?
That's basically...
That's
Awesome.
the easiest motion that the sheepdog has.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay, we're going to bring everybody in so we can see them all lined up. It's going to be youngest to oldest. So we have a 3-month-old all the way to a 4-year-old. All males. Okay.
So we have 3 months old, 6 months old, little over 12 months old for the third dog. Sorry, I didn't know.
Yes, the last dog is okay in size. It's just a larger, he's going to be on the larger side of our standard. We'd rather see leg than no leg.
Okay? And so a little over a year and a 4-year-old dog. So that's just the thing. Now, guys, here's the deal. Everybody has their preferences when they're breeding dogs.
4-year-old?
Some breeders have different preferences. They put emphasis on different things, and that's okay. What we're here talking to you about is what we prefer. This is what we look for in our breeding program. It doesn't mean it's what everyone looks for. Size is definitely a big thing in our breed. Not everybody likes a larger dog. They like a smaller dog. But there was a purpose for both those sizes. So we don't pay attention to size, although we do like our boys to look like boys. Our standard is a minimum of 22 inches for males. I don't think we've really had a minimum or a 22-inch dog. However, we do not have a maximum. So we do have a minimum, but we do not have a maximum. Okay? And there's no DQs.
The square appearance is the main.
Square, compact, thick, muscular. Okay?
All right, let's hear it for the boys. Woo! Bring on the girls.
Here we go. Up here.
They are all good.
We bribed all these people with pizza and beer.
I know, we bribed them.
We're glad to have Clinton Carey with us.
Okay, so this is female A. This is a litter mate to male A. She is 3 months old.
Okay, this little bitch, a little bit different than what her brother is. Even though we came out the same litter, you can see right here, this little bitch is very, very short guy. But we're looking as far as like for an Old English Sheepdog, we're measuring from the top of the withers to the elbow to the ground. From the ischium to the point of the shoulders.
Guys, do me a favor so they can see that. Guys, just so you guys can see this, that's the reason. So what he's talking about is obviously the point of the shoulder and the ischium should be equal to the top of the withers to the bottom.
Thank you.
That's the big square that we're looking for. Now, as far as onto her, she's got a beautiful little muzzle. You can feel that. See the width already as far as onto my hands. You got a little bit of a smudge, which will go ahead and go away as she gets older. Nice little bite, nice little jaw, under jaw. Same type of thing here. She doesn't have a whole lot of pigmentation right now. That pigmentation can come or it cannot.
But if not, it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be your final decision.
Right. Ears, again, medium length as far as onto her ears. We go ahead and come back in from the neck, nice strong, fairly arched neck into the shoulders, back into where the shoulder, the upper arm comes in, straight legs down, nice little feet. When you come back in through the loin, you know, and here you can kind of watch the hand as it goes ahead and comes. You can see how it goes ahead and has a slight rise over the top line. That's great because, like you said, these will mature out and get better as they go ahead and they get older. This is a cute little sound little bitch and so forth. Nice little turn as far as on the side.
Very cobby, not short enough without being too short, but you can see where Dad's hand is. You can see where, yep, that's where that needs to drop down a little bit more, as you can see in the age, and you know that definitely does develop. Okay, Clint, let's move forward.
Here's the loin. You see how short back? This is the end of her rib, and that's where it goes in starts right there.
Okay, awesome.
Dad, how many fingers do you put emphasis on the loin? As long as it's in proportion to the size of the dog?
Yes, everything's all in proportion. Like you have some dogs that's going to be a little bit more longer as far as the rib cage. One thing you have to be really careful about is that we don't run into what we call a herring gut, where those organs are unprotected by that rib cage that falls too shallow. You want to make sure it's got a deep, strong rib cage for protection. That's for any animal as far as butting, kicking, anything like that. They've got to have those organs protected.
She is balanced.
She has a nice, easy flowing.
Yes, very.
Nice. Neat,
Maybe we got
nice drive.
a special handler for this one, so
Yeah.
maybe that's it.
We brought in the best.
Thanks, Clint. Thank you. All right. Next is going to be a 6-month-old female. She's going to be a female B. She's coming. Hang tight. Hang tight.
Okay, so this is a 6-month-old female. She's gonna be weird. Sorry.
Oh. How come you got the hard one, Karen? That's not fair. Where's your husband? It's a setup? All right, sorry.
Okay, so this is a 6-month-old bitch. This bitch she has a beautiful head. She has a nice bite, nice big teeth too. I like that. Nice, good underjaw, beautiful expression, beautiful pigments. Her head is, for a 6-month-old bitch, is good, but she's lost it a little bit. She had it when she was younger, so that was hopefully going to come back. The nice neck. She's lost her depth of chest a little bit. As her age, this is definitely going a little shallow right now, but we're not too worried about that at this age. Hopefully that will come back. Again, we're going to come down, we're going to feel for the spring of rib, make sure that those elbows come in nice and tight. She's a little deep right, or a little shallow right there right now. So we'll wait and see how that comes along. So when I'm dealing with a puppy like this that's just really unsure, she's 6 months old, she doesn't know what's going on, if you're going to go over the top line and they start sinking down like that, don't continue to go over the top line. Either allow the handler to reset the dog, let them take a step forward, or go over their top line when they're standing on their own after the down and back. As a breeder, I generally will come up and I'll just kind of hold them right here if they start doing that to make sure that I have my rise in the top line, which I do. Okay, if I let her stand on her own, you'll notice I'm starting to lose that. So, and that's just confidence. That's all that is. So again, come through, nice stout loin. Make sure you have nice broad hips, which this bitch, she has really broad hip bones. I mean, if you look at that for a 6-month-old bitch, I mean, that's pretty broad. Nice, strong hands. She has a pretty well let down hop. She has a nice short loin. Okay, look at her coat. You can see, and FYI, just so everyone knows, we hate it when this happens because it's so hard to keep up on. It's like cotton candy. They're losing all that puppy coat. So how we get rid of that is we slicker it, we rake it out, all that good stuff. But look at the good stuff that's coming in. Okay, so she definitely has the coat. It's gonna be there. She just has nasty dead coat right now. Okay.
She also has a little bit more rear right now too.
Yeah, she has a little more rear right now than front. Like I said, she's lost her front a little bit. She didn't have that as a puppy, so we're hoping that that's going to come back. Because right now, I mean, she has a nice rear, but it's a little more than her front. Okay, Karen?
Does that happen often? Where they lose that? How do you feel? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if I would say it happens often, but it happens enough that we're not overly concerned about it. If it stays like that when she's about 2 years of age, then we're going to start being a little bit more picky and going, this might not come back, it's not going to work. Keep going, Karen.
Someone's asking if you could talk about the letdown hocks and the length of the hawk.
Okay, Dad, you want to talk about that? The hawks, yes.
Come closer, Doug.
Always good stuff.
And just learning what to do with all of her angles as well.
As Colton went ahead and talked to you a little bit earlier, we were looking at, as far as onto these guys, she has a little bit more rear right now than what I actually prefer. I like to have a little bit less angulations. But the letdown hawks is really good vision from the top of the hawk down to the ground itself. The thickness as far as into the thigh. The one thing about the Old English Sheepdog is they have to have a thick thigh and a strong thigh. I tell people, as far as if you're a horse person, you're looking at an Old English Sheepdog, much like what you do with quarter horse. Because whenever they go ahead and they have this little bit tighter front end, this is a pivoting point. This is what they use to swing around and use for butting up against the sheep and the cattle and stuff like that with their bumps. Like they go ahead and kind of throw that back in. So I'm looking for a very strong rear end piece and solid hocks as far as the way of going down. So I would like to see a little bit shorter hock.
Yes.
As far as on this bitch, she has a little bit more turn into the stifle and a little bit shorter hock onto it. Now, one thing too, as far as like when you're talking about hocks, is markings can go ahead and be very deceiving.
And we're talking about color.
You get an Old English Sheepdog that has a lot of white that may come down as far as onto the stifle and also as far as onto the hock. They'll make that hock look a lot more longer than what it actually is. That's why you have to get in and feel where that hock is and go ahead and measure back down to the ground onto that. Right? Some people like to see an Old English Sheepdog as far as in the way of a shuffle. I don't like the shuffling. I like to be able to see movement as far as a drover's dog, not a shuffle. There's a drover's dog, you have to get on the outside, you have to be able to go ahead and bring the strays back in. They have the smaller dogs that go ahead and work as far as into the herds themselves. So that's
And a shuffle
Thank you, Karen.
shouldn't be confused with the roll and the amble. Just that's taking place up on the loin and the top line of the
Okay.
dog.
sometimes you get a single hawk too. As far as you shuffle, you get a single hawk.
Okay, next is going to be a year-old female.
I'll put it right there, Karen. And this is bitch.
This is female,
See.
we're on C. C.
Yeah, I keep me on next.
Yes.
All right. This bitch is a little bit different than what the other bitches that we're getting into. This bitch is a little bit longer as far as into the body. Okay? If you go ahead and measure from here to here, you have a little bit more length as far as into the body. A little bit different type of stature. She's still within what we go ahead and stop into our confines as a type Old English Sheepdog bitch. What's that?
I'm getting there, sorry.
This is a pretty bitch with a nice muzzle. You see the big nose again? And you see the underjaw? It's not sniping. You got strength of an underjaw underneath that thing too. Nice scissors bite. You see the width, how it goes ahead and it's kind of blunt back off. Nice muzzle all the way back in. And here's the deal. You go ahead and you have muzzles, but when you go ahead and you have one that comes back in where the cheek fill is, I don't know if you can see that right there, but
We
that's a
can.
real pretty cheek fill.
Especially
back
for
into that head. Nice pretty pigmentation. This one here, as far as you see the pigmentation on the white-haired side, nice shape in the eye. Nice, beautiful head piece. Look how wide this head piece is on this bitch.
Yeah.
That's from the side of the head itself. Now she can use a little bit more neck. It's adequate because she's a little bit steeper as far as over the shoulders here. And watch my hand. As I go ahead and I come back down, the top line can be a little bit stronger. Right?
But she's a year.
She's
She's
a
a year old, and that muscling hopefully will go ahead and be a little bit stronger back in. And that's something that when you're dealing with a little bit of an outcross breeding, that's what we did with this one here. You get things that you like and things that you're going to have to kind of change on to.
Also, Dad, hold her up. Yeah, put that under there. There you go.
And that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as onto the top.
She still needs to mature and stuff.
A little bit longer into the loin. See the distance into the loin there? But she's got a beautiful coat coming. See this? Nice. And it's going to, you see that white, that undercoat? Again, we got a profuse amount of coat. And this is something that we have to go ahead and have to address too. People go ahead and they say, well, all the trimming and all this and all that. The dog has to be able to keep its shape, its form. And when you allow that dog to get too much hair, they lose their shape and their form, and it's very distracting. This breed never intended, in my opinion, and from what I've seen in the history of the breed, to have the amount of coat that we have today. We have grown more coat than what the breed had.
And they would shear them down. The flock,
They would shear them down.
So if they were sheared down once a year, there's no way to carry the coat that we carry in the rest.
And like I said, you know, they're lucky to get a bath leading into the stream or the trough. And then they went ahead and they got clean. A lot of the purpose as far as for the bobtail is because being out there into the fields, that tail would go ahead and it would get messy, dirty with mud, you know, other items and so forth there. So they found that by docking the tails on the sheep, also docking the tails onto the dog was convenient. Plus it showed that it was actually a herding dog and not a luxury dog, which is taxation. But a lot of this stuff is just things that have occurred over the period of time. The Old English Sheepdog is a very old breed, a very prestigious breed, and this breed was mostly back down through the southwest communities there in England.
So, hold on, I want to point out one thing, because you guys were talking about hawks, and this bitch has a really nice short hawk. I mean, look at where hawk is. So like we said, I mean, look at that, that's beautiful. So, again, feel, touch, feel. If you're unsure about the way something looks, don't stand back and look at it. Go in and feel it.
Let's show this here. This isn't where the show is. This is in the elbow, right here. Okay, and there, okay.
Okay, let's watch her move. Good girl.
She doesn't have quite the reach. Okay. Okay. Now, as I want to make one statement here, like I said, this is a little bit different as far as the way we're breeding. When you, as a breeder, you go ahead and you look what qualities that the bitch goes ahead and brings into your breeding program that you can use, and you go ahead and you figure how to use this bitch into your breeding program. And that's what we have her for, is because there's things in this bitch that we really like that we want to go ahead and we want to bring into our breeding program.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, all the dogs that we're showing you here, none of them are being shown or actively campaigned. These are just dogs we've pulled out of our kennel to show you guys. So all the differences right there.
She's just a few months older. She's about 18 months, so that's why she's just going to go under female C as well. Not to be confusing, but we wanted to share two different styles, so.
Okay, so this bitch is, she's 18 months?
She's 18 months.
18 months, so she's a little bit older than the last bitch you saw. This is a perfect example. Obviously, you can tell the difference in the size. But I'll tell you, what this bitch we really love about her. A, she has a beautiful face.
Wait, I'm not there yet.
She has a nice bite. It's this. Look at this. That could be more. That's not as broad as I would like. However, she's not a very big bitch. So is it in proportion to her size? Sure. But I personally would like a little bit more fill under the eye, tying into the cheek. She has a really nice stop, very nice brow, arch of brow. Back skull matches her muzzle. Okay, it's about the same, so it's in proportion. So that's good. So I do not like the length of this bitch's neck. To me, she's a little shorter neck. You know, this sits up high, this sits a little bit further up front. She has a nice posternum. She has nice straight forelegs, so that's good. Beautiful spring of rib. I mean, the body on this bitch, this is what we like about her. This body and that depth of chest, I mean, look, right there, perfect. So that's really nice. She has a beautiful top line. Okay, everybody see my hand go up? Okay. I mean, come up here, Heather. I want people to take a look at this. Stout, broad loin. Check, that's a bitch, and she's not even fully mature yet. That's awesome. Like, you should be able to take a sheepdog and pounce on their rear like this and them not move. I mean, that rear should be strong. She's decently short in the body. You know, that's not a problem. She has a nice bend to stifle. She has a little bit of a lower claw. Not as short of a hawk as the last bitch, a little bit longer, but it's not offensive. So yeah, look how broad. So again, get in there, feel it. So her coat, if she lived at Heather and Colton's house, this bitch probably would have been shaved down. But for those of you that know my mom, know that nothing gets shaved down. And so her coat's taking a little bit longer to come in. But regardless, it is coming in, so that's not a problem. And what is coming in is really nice. Okay, Trey. So you can see she falls a little short in the front. And she keeps her shape. She looks the same standing as she does moving.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay. Our last bitch is about 2.5, coming up on 3 in a few months. She'll be female D. So this is a mature bitch, close to being mature.
So again, as you can see through the stages of life, zoom in, going a little honey, look at the quality of the coat. So the markings. Okay, so someone asked about the markings. So obviously they're gray, white, with having any variations inside the other. So they can have patches, they can have dark marks, we call them patches, on the fake, anywhere where there's white. Here, sometimes they'll have a solid black leg with just a little white foot, perfectly acceptable. White splashing in the gray, perfectly acceptable. We don't limit our gene pool. It's small enough, and unfortunately it's getting smaller by markings. In our breeding program, would I breed a heavily splashed dog to a heavily splashed bitch? Probably not, because then you're going to get a lot of white. But I'm also not going to say, oh, I would never breed to that dog because of splashes or anything like that, although everybody has different opinions and might feel differently. Okay, this bitch, beautiful muzzle, beautiful face, nice bite, nice big black nose.
Stay.
Okay, nice squarely formed on the foreface, nice length of muzzle, beautiful stop and arch of brow, beautiful. Beautiful back skull. Come in here. Look at that, guys. That fills my hand. I have pretty big hands. That fills my hand, and it also does on the depth of the skull.
Can you, Colton, while we're here, move some of that hair underneath so we can show a little bit of the underjaw?
Stay.
There we go.
You put that mustache back up this way.
Yeah. Pull it up that way. There we go. Just put her head down a little
Now,
bit. There we go.
You see where the muzzle and the underjaw is. You see where the jawline it is. It's not snipey. It's got a nice strong. And when we talk about these guys, we refer to as truncated. And that's giving that strong jaw. That way, if an animal happens to get kicked or butted, it's not going to break that jaw. It's going to be strong. It's not snipey, not weak.
So this bitch has, she has nice tight shoulders. Her neck's not overly, it's not long, but it's not short. I don't mind that at all. Beautiful forward chest, beautiful return of upper arm, nice straight forelegs.
Bones, good bone.
Good bone. Nice feet, arched, good depth of body, really good spring of rib. I mean, this bitch, this is also a style. When I come up here.
This is a special bitch.
Yeah.
Would you keep?
So wide. Look how wide and powerful. I mean, look, that's both my hands, and I'm not even around her loin. So you want to make sure very short, very, very short. Beautiful bend, okay? Nice hocks. I mean, hands galore. Nice, big, broad, thick hands. I mean, look at that. That's like, I mean, look, pounds. Nothing. Okay, well, that's all right. Let's take her around. Trust. Good.
Keep going. You're young. You can do it.
Good. Good. She falls a little short, but you know she's going around good. She carries herself. She looks the same standing as she does moving. So again, that's the important part.
Important about someone said about the markings, important to feel, because sometimes like the dark or the white, it does.
Correct. Okay. So that's a really good question. Thank you for whoever asked that. So
Thanks, Lita.
You're going to notice a different texture of coat with the different coloring. So the whites it's a softer texture coat, and so therefore it grows more, which is why if you don't ever strip out your dog's neck and you just let it grow and grow and grow, they're going to have a lot of coat. Now, it shouldn't be stripped out. Our standard says that they should have a good amount of hair on their neck. So it shouldn't be stripped out. It should be a muscular neck. So it shouldn't look narrow. They shouldn't look like bobbleheads. It should be well coated, okay? But the texture on the gray always comes in before the white. So therefore, it's a little bit harder to grow the gray coat sometimes because it is coarse, depending on the coarseness. Does that answer the question? Is that what she was referring to?
I think so.
Okay. So
We have to just see, I do want to have female D go down and back,
female D go down and back.
because we didn't do that.
Okay. So can we just make sure everybody knows? So the very first
Yeah,
one.
let's wrap this up, this
Okay.
part.
3 months.
3 months, 6 months, 1 year, coming up on 3, 2.5.
Okay. All right. So let's bring her up here and take her down and back.
All right, guys, thank you. And if you could just walk her down and back, Taylor, so they can see the amble.
So you can see, do it one more time. Go away. Okay, watch the butt. Up, walk. Roll. See it?
Okay, you want to do both of the...
Yeah. So let's go ahead and stack these two up here.
So we're going to bring, just for a few more points, we're going to bring in the 2 most mature male and female in.
Taylor, put her more on the mat. No angle. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you. If there's any more points?
Okay, so as you can see, difference between dogs and bitches. You can definitely tell in the size. But nice coat. Both dogs have good proportions. Yeah. Anything you guys want to add?
Well, I think that the main thing is, as far as the hallmarks of our breed, is the truncation of the muzzle. And the truncation is just like I said, it's like you walk up and you grab a hold of the tree trunk, that's what you're looking for the truncation. And the hallmark is our top line. That is very important. If we don't have the top line, we are losing the characteristics as far as into our breed. The coat is a very important factor. It's the grizzle gray, it's the harshness with the softness back underneath. And that goes ahead and serves as 2 purposes. It serves as insulation, it also has repellent. I went ahead and whenever I was a younger man up in Canada, I visited Sandra and Derek Haysetter, Terry Carter friends, and he had a sweater that was made out of Old English Sheepdog hair, and it was raining. And I went ahead and I asked him, I said, is that wet underneath? He said, no. He said, feel it. And I put my hand back underneath that sweater, and he was completely dry. The sweater was repellent of water, and he was completely dry. So that's what this coat does. As far as the dogs themselves, like I said, each dog has a purpose, whether it be a smaller dog or a larger dog. Tilly goes in and makes a statement as far as into his book that says if you have two people that run the exact same dead heat, one is a smaller man, the other one's a little bit taller man, do you award the prize to the smaller man, or do you go ahead and award the prize to the taller man? The point is, it has to be able to do its job. Whatever size the dog is, it has to be able to do its job. And overall soundness and balance.
Train and size of sheep.
The terrain, yeah, each dog has a little bit different terrain that they're used for and different size of livestock that they're used for.
One of the questions is what is the hallmark of our breed? You know, we kind of have a lot that we talked about with our, you know, our head, our coat, and everything like that, the shape. I'm going to say the hallmark of our breed is going to be head, pear shape. If they're not shaped like a pear, you're not going to have the top line, you're not going to have the broad butt, you're not going to have the roll. So they have to be shaped like a pear. I'd say the pear shape is probably the most important thing in our breed, and obviously your head, bone, substance. But that's the hallmark of our breed. The most important thing of our breed is proportions. We cannot emphasize that enough. It's everything proportion.
All right, thank you.
And temperament. Guys, sheepdogs should not be fearful. Sheepdogs should not be aggressive. Temperament is huge. You'll notice every single one of these dogs, I'll walk right up, and I'm a dog trainer, I tell people not to do this all the time, and I'll put my face right in their face. Anyone can, these dogs have never met someone, this dog's never met Karen, he's perfectly comfortable with her. So temperament, they should be happy, they should be clownish. People ask all the time, you know, what draws you to an Old English Sheepdog? And obviously we're attracted to the way that they look, but most importantly, it's the way that they act. I like happy dogs. I don't want to have to convince my dog to like something. I just want them to be willing to do it. So sheepdogs can be stubborn, but they shouldn't be shy or aggressive about it.
Want to get with Mom over here and we'll answer any questions?
Yep.
Okay, thanks guys. All right, we're gonna use the last 4 minutes to just see if you guys, if we didn't touch on anything, if we can answer questions for you at this time, before we wrap up today.
I'd like to thank the K9 Chronicle for
Yeah, this was fun.
inviting us to do this. This has been an absolutely wonderful opportunity to go ahead and share with you a breed that we have spent so much of our lifetime with and that we dearly, dearly love. It's something that we'll probably end up having for the rest of our lives as long as I can keep moving and brushing and I have kids and grandkids and go ahead and continue to show.
Oh, I see how this is going. Is there any other questions before we wrap up? Everyone's saying hi, guys. Hi.
Thank you.
We miss everybody.
We miss everybody.
Can't wait to be at the shows again.